What did we learn in our last video? Elements, that's right. Do you know what happens when elements mix together? They form compounds. How is an element different from a compound? An element cannot be further broken down by any chemical process. A compound, on the other hand, constitutes elements which are chemically combined with each other. What do we mean by chemically combined? Chemically combined elements have molecules that react with each other to form an altogether new substance. Say element A and element B react with each other to form a compound C. What about the characteristics of this compound? Does the compound have the same characteristics like that of the elements which make it? Let us take an example to understand this better. How do you think a water molecule is formed? Well, a water molecule has two hydrogen atoms bonded to one oxygen atom. These together make up one water molecule. Which two elements make up the water compound? Oxygen and hydrogen make up water. Now tell me, can we separate these elements by any physical process? No, we can't. What is it that makes it impossible to separate these elements physically? Correct, they are chemically bonded to each other at the atomic level. Can we separate them chemically? Yes, we could separate them by various chemical processes in a laboratory. What about their properties? Let us see if water exhibits the same properties as that of oxygen and hydrogen. What does oxygen do to fire? Well, oxygen aids combustion. In simple words, oxygen helps burning. What about hydrogen? Does hydrogen aid combustion? Well, hydrogen by itself is inflammable. What about water? What does water do to fire? Water neither aids combustion nor is it combustible. In fact, water stops fire and hence it is used to put out fire. You must have seen fire brigades using water hose to put out fire. So what did we learn here? Water which has elements that aid combustion and are combustible prevents combustion. What happens to water as a compound? What about the properties of the elements those make up the water molecule? When atoms meet to form a compound, they bond chemically and their properties differ from the pure element. Well, this is what a compound is in a nutshell. A compound is formed by elements which have chemically combined in a specific ratio. The properties of the compounds differ from the properties of the elements that make the compound. Compounds can be chemically separated into their constituent elements. With that, I am sure you know what compounds and elements are. Do you know the difference between mixtures and compounds? Can you recollect what mixtures are? Mixtures were elements or compounds mixed together. Do you think a new compound is formed here? You're right. No new compound is formed in a mixture. What about compounds? What are the constituents of a compound? In a compound, elements chemically combine and form an altogether new compound. In a mixture, each constituent retains its properties, while a compound has properties which differ from their constituent elements. Are the constituents in a mixture mixed in a fixed proportion? Well, they aren't in a fixed proportion, while the elements in a compound are mixed in a fixed proportion. And the last point of difference between these two is that the constituents of a mixture can be separated by physical methods. What about the constituents of a compound? The constituents of a compound are chemically bonded to each other and hence can never be separated by physical processes. They can only be separated by chemical or electrochemical reactions. Try to find out how oxygen and hydrogen of a water molecule can be separated from each other. We leave you with this question and hope you enjoyed learning about matter in some more detail.